Hi everyone, this is Fresher from Lab 1 Recordings, and we're proud to bring to the rack our latest rack extension called the MACE. The MACE is what we call a professional compressor. It's a dual channel compressor which has a lot of controls that you'd find on most compressors and limiters, as well as a few extra controls for that extra bit of precision and slight differences to get different effects on your dynamic control. We'll run through the controls of what the MACE actually has and how the metering works and some of the extra features. The MACE has an input control, a threshold control and ratio control, and again you'll find these on other compressors. There's an attack control and a release control and a makeup gain. The additional controls that we've added in is a hold control, which will affect the gain reduction timing and the way that the gain reduction follows the audio and works on the signal. We've got a sidechain gain, which you can adjust the drive of this sidechain signal, either an internal or external signal, so you can make the sidechain louder than the initial content or quieter, just to rebalance. We've added a high pass filter onto the sidechain. This helps to allow low frequency signals to come through and not trigger the compressor. So for drum kits that when you use sidechain on a drum kit and it punches, and you drive the limiter a little bit too much, sometimes the low end gets lost, so it makes your drum sound weaker. So the high pass allows the low end to come through, and only the transient and the crack and the high end information of the percussive hits actually cause the trigger of the compressor. We've got limiter, which again normally comes with a compressor, and we've added in a soft clip control as well. We've got a depth control, and this works in a similar way to how the hold control works, where hold will hold the gain reduction over a certain amount of time. The depth control will hold the gain reduction at a certain level. So it's not time dependent, it'll work on a peak or an envelope following curve. We have a wet mix control, so you can have fully processed signal versus a completely dry signal, and anywhere in between, so you get parallel processing or New York compression. This is handy for keeping the transients on your original hits, but also bringing up the room ambience when you start to over compress or get a lot of compression going on, and you find it's too squashed. You can balance it between the two, so you get a nice, natural but a beefier sound out of your drums or guitars or even your vocals. Additionally, the MACE has got a knee setting, so where you have the threshold point and the ratio showing on the graph. At the knee point, a 0 dB knee can sound quite unnatural and obvious. So we've added in 6 additional knee settings, so you can actually round off your compression so it sounds more natural, more pleasing, and less obvious to the general listener. This is good again for acoustic sort of sound, so you can make things sound how they should, but also get the addition of light or strong compression to bring up room ambience again, or some other effect that you want to try and do. The MACE comes in 3 modes. So you'd have here, it's showing that the MACE is in an unlinked, so dual channel stereo mode. This means that the left controls affect the left channel, the right controls affect the right channel. If you link the two together, so it shows that it's been linked, the left controls process both left and right channels together. This is convenient for making sure that a stereo signal is compressed on both channels at the same time. The gain reduction works on the basis of the maximum sidechain level of either channel at the time. So if the right channel is louder than the left, then the gain reduction will affect both based on the right sidechain signal, and vice versa. If the left channel is louder than the right, then the left channel will be read in and used as the gain reduction trigger. The secondary mode is a mid-side mode, so you can boost your mid signals and compress those, so you can make your mid a bit beefier again, or you can play around with your side signal to make something a bit wider, and again you may find it's gradually to bring up atmospheres and things like that, or room sounds, so you can get a bit more out of your sound that you couldn't hear initially. Next to the knee control, we've got a look ahead time setting, and this works in conjunction with the limiter. So you have a look ahead time, and we've got 0 milliseconds, 0.5, 1 milliseconds, 4 and 10 milliseconds. And what this will do is that when the limiter is triggered, it will hold for that amount of time before it starts to do a release based on an internal calculation. The faster the look ahead, the faster the release. So if you had a 10 millisecond look ahead and you had the limiter on and triggering, it would hold for 10 milliseconds every time it's triggered, and then it will start to release curve. The MACE also comes in 2 characteristic modes. You have classic, which will emulate an analog style of compressor, and you can click on the type and it will change to a modern style of compressor, which is a digital, so it sounds a lot faster or sharper, quicker basically. So for electronic music, we'd say commonly you probably go for modern because it's nice and fast and responds nice and quick, while if you're doing more acoustic or real world instruments and bands and things like that, classic may be beneficial because it's a bit more human sounding, and it takes a little bit longer to react. Okay, around the back we've got the audio in and audio out sockets, which come as standard. We've got an external sidechain audio socket, so you could feed an alternative signal to the compressor. We've got a soft clip calibration control, and this will change the curve of the soft clip, so you could go all the way to 1% soft clip, so there is near to digital 0, and it will still round off your signal, so you won't get any overloads ever, and 100% will round it off even more, and it brings the level down slightly, but it also gives it a sort of slight rapping sort of sound, so it can sound warmer, more pleasing than a sharp 0 cut-off digital hard clip. We've also included an attack divider, and this works in conjunction with the attack millisecond time setting. By default, we've got it set up to 1 divided by 1, which is, of course, 1, and that works out to be your multiplier. So if we've got, for example, 500 milliseconds on the attack, and we've got it set as a 1 divided by 1, then your milliseconds is still 500. If we go to 1/10, it's simply 500 milliseconds divided by 10 is 50 milliseconds. So whatever value you have on the front, the divider will change the timing by that division. So 172 milliseconds will work out to be, in this case, 17.2 milliseconds. So you can get really very, very small time settings, and you can tweak around until you're happy. MACE also includes two gain reduction CV outputs. Now these two outputs will follow these 2 meters. So this is gain reduction 1, this is gain reduction 2, and wherever those are different, if you're in unlinked or in mid-side mode, you'd have them bouncing around differently. So you can use that as a CV control to any other device that'll accept CV inputs. If it's in links mode, then basically you'll get 2 CV outputs which run at the same level together. So instead of using a spider and splitting and sending it off somewhere else, MACE gives you 2 options and 2 sockets, so you can go and dive more into your modular setups as you see best fit. Okay, we'll run through a quick drum loop demo and we'll reset the device so you can see what sort of sounds we can come up with. So as you can see, the MACE has got some quite decent controls to change the way that your sound comes through. You can bring up the noise of the room. You can bring up the noise of tape or vinyl and things like that to give a bit more of a human or a bit more of an analogy sort of sounds to your sounds you've already got. You could go through your library of sounds that you're already running through. You may find if you bring up a reverb a little bit more, but you do it through dynamic control, you may find something that's in your sound that you've never really heard before. And when that comes across, you can get your mixes better, you can add more detail and so on. So yeah, we like what we've created for you guys. We're happy with this product, and we hope you're going to be happy with this product going forward. And by all means, go try it out, see what you think. Hopefully you'd like it, and this is something that you'd get into your staple selection of rack extensions for mixing with. And yeah, go and get creative with compression. Okay, this has been Fresher from Lab 1. Hope you enjoyed this quick tour, and we'll bring some more videos of how we would process our audio using the MACE in some upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.